Hello there, welcome to my reaction to Elden Ring Perfecting the Soul series by Zero Lenny. Um, I've been playing Elden Ring a lot. Uh, Not too much. I have only 45 hours in comparison to some other people who have 70 and more. I mean, in my circle, other people, of course, have probably even more. But I've been streaming it a lot, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's quite a tall order to overcome, like Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, as my favorite Souls, or like not Souls game, but From Software game, or like Souls like. I don't know. How does this count? Is it gonna be now Born Ring? Is that how it's gonna be? Elden Soulsborne? I don't know. But it is my favorite game. And I think it does perfect whatever previous games were building up as mechanics. Maybe as lore. I'm not sure about lore too much. But anyway, let's check out what Zero Lenny has to say. When did this video come out? 6th. Yesterday. Alright. Yeah. Let's check this out. Before we begin, if you want to help out the channel, check the link in the description below, or like, comment, subscribe. It also helps. And let's begin. This might be my last video on YouTube. Who knows when it's gonna get blocked here. Anyway.
Okay, I've been playing
Elden Ring.
for 17 hours straight. It is the
Best.
game ever.
This has all been perhaps the rarest thing to ever happen to me in gaming. A new game has released, and it's my new favourite of all time. Elden Ring has perfected the Souls series in a towering return to form. This is our first new Souls experience in 6 years. And the question becomes this: has it all been worth the wait?
Yes.
Has Elden Ring lived up to that?
Wait,
and
what was
the
that?
question becomes
About
this:
GS2?
has it all been worth the wait?
Nah, GS2 best.
Has
Nah.
Elden Ring lived up to the hype? Is Elden Ring everything we hoped it would be?
Yes.
In my opinion, yes, and
Same.
somehow more. I haven't a Scooby-Doo how they did it. I haven't the words to describe it, but I'm going to try my very best to put into this video how I feel about this game. Before we get into this review though,
Video
I
names
really,
begotten.
really need to say that this video will have mild to major spoilers of the first 2 areas, and I have waited to post this video until I felt people had some time to experience the game themselves. But if
That's
you
good.
still haven't, then I very much encourage you to click off this video and see it all for yourself. That's gonna mess with the viewer retention and algorithm for the video. I don't care. I'd rather you guys have a fantastic experience
Oh,
first
that's
time
cool.
playing this game. But
Good
I'll
on
tell
you,
you something
Lenny.
you can't skip. Sponsored content, sponsorinoed by Skillshare Arena.
Okay.
Oh, well, here I am in the lands between, and it's blooming awful. I just want a burger. Rubberland.
Hello.
How do I make a burger?
They don't have burgers here, you absolute donut.
I can't believe what I've just heard. This is the worst game ever. If only there was a way to teach these people a particular set
True
of
Sentinel.
skills. Wait, does Skillshare do that? Yes, Skillshare does that. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who wants to explore their creativity and learning new skills. For a joke, I actually just typed in burger, and it actually has courses on burgers. I honestly didn't expect that. What the? Okay, for real, a lot of you ask, how do I edit videos? You can learn it all right here, and it's not just basic stuff. They have like pretty advanced courses for editing. So yeah, it's not just for learning new skills, you can also perfect and develop existing ones. So make 2022 a year of learning and growth through Skillshare, and right now, the first
I wish I
1,000
could make it a
people
year
click
of
the link
learning and
below,
growth.
Use my code YT0lenny11
The only thing that might grow is
for free with Skillshare.
my country's borders.
Thanks again, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video.
And my hate to the government. And I thought it was
Alright,
at the peak
so
already.
I'm gonna start off with probably the
Oh, shit.
biggest difference here compared to the previous Souls games, and that's the open world. And I have to admit, when I first heard that this game would be open world, I genuinely was quite worried. I really was. I mean, I thought we'd have a case of a game being as wide as an ocean, but with the depth of a puddle. However, and I don't know how,
No, it's a
but
normal
that's not
pier.
the case. It is both as
I'm pausing
wide
it
and
every
as
time now.
as an ocean.
Oh, it's a beautiful fucking day in the lands between. You scon it, get over here!
There's just so many unique set pieces and encounters to just
Yep.
fall into while traveling.
What you felt lined up inside you was a full against
That's actually my fucking bone. And all this is very nice. However,
It is.
for me, this next point is what elevates this above anything else. And
Okay,
that's
let's hear
the
it.
size of everything. Not just the world, but the buildings, the castles, the enemies, the cliffs, everything.
Yeah.
Okay, to make this point, I want to go back.
You feel
to Dark
small.
Souls 1. So I want you to imagine this. You're going through Blighttown, and you've just hit a bonfire at the bottom. You've come a long way down. And the problem is, if you want to get out, you can't teleport. If you want to get out, you're gonna have to fight all the way back
Yeah,
up through those
I don't like
enemies,
that
those
about Dark
areas,
Souls 1.
everything. And that detail there,
It does make it more difficult, I understand that, but it's just backtracking is not a very good system. Can I call it a system? Not very enjoyable, let's say it that way. At least for me. Like backtracking without anything changing is very not enjoyable. Like if I'm playing, I don't know, Batman comes to my head when I think of backtracking. But in Batman you backtrack because you got new things and you can open secrets if you go back in the previous locations. But in Dark Souls 1, that could happen. You could switch a weapon and train around it, but most of the time you're just going through the same thing
imposes a
in the
genuine
same way.
feeling of being submerged and
backwards.
deep underground. That's because you can't teleport out. In Dark Souls 2, for example, you can go really far underground again, but you don't really feel far down because you can just leave whenever you like. So, in Elden Ring, the most impressive thing for me is that they got that feeling of depth with teleportation from the start, which I thought was impossible.
Wait, hang on a sec. I've just realised I can go anywhere. Oh my god. I've just realised I can go anywhere. I can go. Fuck it! I'm going on a little Elden Ring adventure.
And it all comes down to the size and scope of things. The game isn't afraid to make things unnecessarily
Oh, don't
huge
go there,
for
you'll
no
get
good
fucked
reason.
up.
There is no point for this elevator to be this big. You can make it a 10-second elevator compared to a 1-minute elevator. And it establishes the same things. The gameplay is still the same. You just go to the bottom of it and you go from there.
How far fucking down does this thing go? What the?
Yeah, those were my questions when I was here.
Oh.
But it's fucking beautiful.
The game doesn't care. It would rather set a stage, a scope, a real sense of depth. It's not afraid just to take its time with it. Yeah, eventually when you do get to the bottom of the elevator, you can't just teleport out right after this. But as soon as you return, you are instantly reminded, boom, you're deep underground. Look at that cave and that cliff above you. It just recenters that scope and it's straight away. And that's so important. Again, running around.
Is there a way to get to that building? I forgot about it entirely. I remember going through this area for a long time. Just trying to find everything. Fighting the boss. He already lit up the things to fight the boss. But I remember looking at that building, but I don't think I've ever went there. Okay.
That scope and it's straight away.
Like
And
that
that's
building,
so
yeah.
important. Again, running around in the
It's
open
very
world,
far away,
you
you
see
can
all
just
these
go.
staggering cliffs, towers, castles, and they don't need to be that big, but they just are. They are constantly reminding you of the depth and scope here, and they do right too. For me, this is what makes this open world unbeatable. The pure, unmistakable depth of its world.
Wait, what is that build up? What happened?
God, this game's fucking beautiful.
I don't think I've
who
seen
is
that
this
ever.
Actual prick.
Ever. Difficulty.
So when you get into the game, it is very easy to stumble upon something which absolutely rocks you. There has been a
Yep.
bunch of articles and stories online about people who go to the big castle straight away and get smashed out by Margaret. And I'm not here to say, oh, you're playing the game wrong. You should be playing this way, idiot. No.
No.
The game is very purposeful. It wants
Yes.
you to go here early. It wants you to feel overwhelmed. It's an incentive for the player to want to explore.
Like that's the actual thing. You leave the tutorial area when you first look at the open world you see, and you see this Stormvale castle on the far left, and you see it, and you're like, okay, so I guess that's my next goal. I'm gonna go there. But the actual location you should go, I mean level-wise, not like you must go there. It's an open world, you can go anywhere. If you want to suffer, there's probably people who play on level 1 anyway, so the game is beatable without being level 300. But for enemies your level, the actual area you're supposed to go is behind you. Not literally the building you came out of, but it's just south on the map. It's fucking cool. I found that area way late and killed everything in a couple hits, including the boss. Because I did go to market and I did suffer quite a bit through it. I think I was underleveled for this,
for
but
themselves, not because the game told
still.
you so. In my opinion,
Yeah, see,
for the
it's more
difficulty of
south
this
than that.
game, this is both the easiest and the hardest Souls game at the same time. Now, it's gonna be very, very
Kinda.
hard for you
Yeah.
if you play this like a classic Souls game. Being, once you get to a boss, you are adamant that you are gonna grind this out, however long it takes, you're gonna do it. But if you just take the glaringly obvious hint that this isn't quite right for you yet, you can open your map and be like, right, okay, let's do some exploring. Oh, I'll have a look in these ruins. I'll definitely go to the mine here, and we'll go here, etc.
Oh, look at them. They've got little powder drills.
yeah,
It's
backed
just,
up the
man,
fuck.
just so much character in the most mundane things. It just fuck off. What the fuck? They have their own sorcery. Oh, they do.
You
What
bounce
the
a
hell?
lot.
These miners have so much character, and they're different from the other miners. The other miners are just like normal. These are kind of magic miners who've like utilized magic tools and they've like made their own.
Yeah, they use
sorcery.
crystals. You can
The
use them
mine-
too.
Oh my god, there's so much character.
Boss
And
fight.
you can find all sorts here. Healing upgrades, weapon upgrades, new weapons entirely, new spells, armor. We can even undercut it and say you only get like one level up per area you visit from the enemies.
You know, I found this axe. And I'm not really an axe guy because axes are a bit like Unga Bunga. But you know what? I'm giving them both barrels. I missed that shot. Don't matter. Block this one. Boom. Bam. Okay, it's a bit shit, but it's fun.
So now,
Oh,
after
they all
doing
have
the
golden eyes.
exploring,
What the
you're
hell?
like, well, what should I do now? But wait, maybe I can go back and have another go at the boss. And with one or two healing upgrades, an upgraded weapon, a new weapon, armor, spells, and another
Damn that
5
health
levels
bar.
into
What the
whatever,
fuck?
you've probably
Are
made
your
the fight
stats, Lenny?
quite a lot easier. And for me, this is perfect difficulty. You can attempt to grind it
Lord,
out
you
as
made
soon
it
as you
better.
get there, like some classic
Better.
Souls games, or do some exploring and come back. As I said, you can even take it another step and you can just go crazy exploring, finding everything
Yeah.
you possibly can, and then returning.
I know
and
someone
making the
who
boss an absolute
did that
joy.
apparently.
It is both the easiest and the hardest Souls game at the same time.
He was
Now, I was
over-leveled
going to end this
for every
segment here,
boss in
but I
the-
do want
in
to
the
say
main
there are some
way.
pretty hefty spikes in difficulty. I have beat the game, and towards the last parts of the game, it gets rough. And by that point, you might have run out of things to explore. So yeah, at the end, it can really just come down to grinding the boss out. Bit of a shame, there's nothing you can do about it, but honestly, I am glad there are some things here that you have to grind out. I'm gonna sound like a massive geek here, but beating those really challenging endgame bosses gave me that first time feeling of Souls all over again.
Hell yeah.
Which is a very special thing.
I need to find
It's
that
the
dragon. I
reason
don't think I've
why
killed
fell in
that
love
one.
with these games, and it's really nice to know after 10 years of playing and making content on this game, those feelings are the same. And it just
Well,
reminds me
don't
why I
die.
love these games and why I even started doing all this in the first place.
Okay.
Sheesh. Kind of cringe, but it had to be said.
Peasant pouch.
Foul tarnished. To stand in the flames flickering of the Elden Ring's flames shattered upon the flame of mankind's tarnished sorry curse. Thine would never understand.
What's his name in Elden Ring?
Or the two fingers' curse upon the curse.
My character's name is Elden John. Don't steal it.
Combat-wise, this is pretty much a Dark Souls game, right down to the bones. But
Yes.
with a few extra twists. With
Yeah.
the free
No
jump,
kick,
we
but
now
jump.
have access to 2 new jumping attacks. And personally, I found these really comfortable. I found myself
3 new jumping attacks. If you power stancing with 2 different weapons in your hands, L1 makes you do the double swing with both weapons, and if you do it mid-jump, you swing down with both of your weapons. That's a 3 jumping attacks.
just weaving them into my combos quite naturally. We also have a personal favourite of mine, the shield counter. A normal block can now result in
Guard
a guard
stance.
counter, which I
Guard
think is a
guard counter, fuck, I'm
fantastic
stupid.
idea. In my Dark Souls 2 review, I went over the whole block versus roll thing as a defensive option. But now, with the block counter, blocking has gotten a pretty serious buff. I mean, it's really strong, and on top of that, it's just incredibly fun to use. It's kind of like a mini parry.
Also, you don't have to block with a shield, you can block with your weapon if you're two-handing, so shields are still... Not still. I mean, if you want to do guard counters, shields aren't necessary. They are helpful, but they're not
You
necessary.
don't have the time. Now, what's important is that these two moves I just mentioned are also amazing for building up another new addition, a posture break. All enemies now have posture, which can be broken over time in combat by pretty much any move. If you
Yes.
rely on just light attacks, you might not see too many. However, if you choose to throw in some heavy attacks, heavy jump attacks, and especially the previously mentioned guard counter, you'll get quite a few posture breaks for a huge amount of damage. I absolutely
Or
love
jumping
this. It's almost
power
like kind of
sense
having
stacks.
a Sekiro meter, where once it fills up, you get a massive hit. And the thing is, if this just worked on normal enemies, I mean, it would have been a nice way to finish them off, because they're probably half dead, where you get a posture break on them. But
Yeah,
being able
just
to use it on bosses is a
Night Scouring.
fantastic idea, because it encourages more than just light attack spam. A perfect example, which I can't show, is what happened at a super late game boss, which I'm not going to show here. It's
Damn.
the classic. I'm all out of healing. I'm one hit away from death, but I know the boss is gonna posture break soon. It has to. And usually, when you have low health, you just stick to light attacks to be safe. But this new mechanic,
Ruin Bear.
it was really exciting to just like risk it all on some crazy heavy attacks as like a last-ditch effort, and it worked. I got a posture break, massive damage, and I got the kill from it. It was super fun, super
Nice.
engaging, and all around just perfected Dark Souls combat in my opinion. Speaking of bosses, there's a lot of them, like a lot of them, and
Yeah.
they're fantastic. These are some of the best movesets, the best designs. I don't want to show them, of course, because I want spoilers and stuff, but you can be very, very well sure that these are prime FromSoft bosses, and it clearly shows.
Yeah.
Oh my effing lord. You know, I just let myself get killed just because I wanted to see that.
However, and this is a
That
big
is
however,
beautiful.
this is my only slight complaint about
Okay.
the game. Again, in the late game, as I said, there's a pretty abrupt spike in difficulty. And I said that later on, some bosses you do just kind of have to grind. And the difference is here, I'm happy to grind like new bosses because it's fun to learn and interact with things you've never seen before. The people who have got far enough will know exactly what I'm talking about, but later on, one of the big roadblocks which a lot of people come across is a 2-on-1 boss fight when the two bosses are just reused bosses from before with just more health slapped together in the same room. I looked around and
Yeah, I've
people
seen that
hate this
couple
one.
times.
I don't really mind
I thought he was gonna just say that it's the same boss used again, which does happen. Like every dragon boss has pretty much the same moveset, except for the element they use if they use different elements. But it does make sense because like every cat attacks the same way, right? So why two different dragons will attack differently if they're same size and all that stuff? But I just thought he's gonna talk about maybe this guy being a boss here, but then he's not a boss, and that's a lot from software games just on its own. But there are like reskins and stuff, and yeah, I guess I didn't think of that, but gang fights do happen. Did happen a couple of times for me. But also, I didn't really notice a big spike in difficulty. Like I was killing bosses in a few tries, from doing them first try all the way to, I don't know, 40th try in the beginning, and that can still happen now. And actually, me knowing how to play the game, it happens rarely when I do like more than 10 tries on the boss. And keep in mind that I did play through every Dark Souls game, every Bloodborne game. Besides Demon Souls, I played everything. So I have experience in this kind of thing, but yeah. My gripe, okay, I'll talk about that
bosses
later.
in the
Whatever.
open world, but mandatory story bosses all deserve
My
to
problem
be
with the
uniques.
game.
I guess this is the only boss I didn't really enjoy. I know it's just one boss, but hey, one boss out of 87 bosses isn't a bad record.
Wait.
Story bosses all deserve to be uniques. I guess this is the only boss I didn't
Godric?
really enjoy. I know it's
One of my
just
favorite
boss,
bosses
but
you
hey,
didn't enjoy?
One boss out of 87 bosses
I
isn't a
fucking
bad
loved
record.
him. I fucking loved Godric. I learned the word grafted because of Godric. I want to know what the fuck does that mean, and now I know the word grafted.
What's your name?
Alright.
My name is Jeff.
Is anybody there? Someone who might be interested
I haven't seen this guy.
in the great Kenneth Height. Asked, which astonished me. I am Kenneth Height, and I have seen quite enough.
You know, going back over this little review thing, I didn't really mention anything which a lot of you guys probably already knew. Part reason is that I kind of wanted to keep this spoiler free, but also that's what
that's
makes
a
this
good
game
thing.
so
Thank you.
amazing. Its ability to master.
I mean, I played
and
through this
perfect
areas, but I
its
still see
base
things I
value
haven't.
attributes. I didn't even.
I haven't seen it. I want to talk over them. I'm sorry. These areas aren't really spoiling me. I've seen most of the things he's showing, but not all of the things he's showing, because both of our playthroughs are different in the way of exploring, because it's an open world. But still, I appreciate that at the moment of him recording this, he already is far beyond these parts, and he's not using any footage of that, which is good.
Go into a bunch of other new things like the power stance combat, the NPCs, the art style of the world. I probably should have gone into those other things in interests of making this a more well-rounded review, but that's not the point. I actually did want to go over the points which everyone already knew. I'm going to say it for the 50th time, you've probably heard this. The world is really, really good. And you might be saying, well, what's the point of reviewing that? Everyone knows that. Because how many times have you heard that an open world game is really big? Hundreds. How many times have you heard that a Souls game is really hard? Thousands.
Yeah.
It needs to be stressed here. It has been done really, really, really well. Perfect.
This is a big open world, but it does not feel empty. Even if you don't see enemies somewhere like you're standing, you can see some kind of ruins. You can see something where you can go and explore, where you can find something. It doesn't feel empty. Not once I felt like, oh, I've been running through this field for a long time and I found nothing. That hasn't happened once. So it's a good thing.
In fact, one more time, and I'll repeat it as many times as it takes. This is a hugely, insanely crammed and perfected game. I know everyone said it, but it just needs to be said just in case people are so used to hearing it, they don't really take the meaning of those words literally. You have to understand, this is the real deal. Elden Ring has perfected the Souls series.
Yeah. Well, they might change something going forward, but it is definitely a way up. This is definitely an upgrade from every previous Souls game. That's... I won't say nobody can argue with that, but some people still say that Dark Souls 1 is the best, and I just can't fucking see it. With how clunky it was when I played it. Specifically because it wasn't my first Dark Souls I ever played, so I didn't find the charm in it that much. It's probably my least favorite. Well, Dark Souls 2 exists. My second least favorite Dark Souls game. I mean, FromSoft game. I don't know. Anyway, my problem with the game, and that's the only PC problem it seems, is that optimization sucks quite a bit. When I saw minimal requirements that have GTX 1060 in it, even though it's 3 gigabytes, mine is 6 gigabytes, but it's my card and I saw the minimal requirements, my heart kind of sank. But I expected it to be 60 FPS, at least it's some kind of settings. Like, I don't mind, I don't care about the graphics much, graphics settings, I don't want ultras or whatever. But I'm playing on low, like, I'm playing on the lowest settings, and FPS drops are not just frequent, I don't think I'm seeing a lot of 60 FPS anywhere. That's my problem with the game, is that I'm fully above minimal requirements, but the minimal graphics settings for full HD, I'm not 2K, 4K, anything, it's just full HD, just 1080p. Even at those settings, the game is still not... is it fluent? Not smooth. It's not 60 at all times, I don't know. I feel like if I cap it, if I put a FPS cap on 30, it's still gonna drop below it. Very rarely it drops below 30, but it does sometimes. But I still enjoy the game enough to look through that. I kind of gotten used for it, like, to FPS going down. Especially if I'm doing the fight. Like a tree sentinel in the beginning. That was a pain in the ass because it was in an open area. So there were moments where FPS would drop down from 50, whatever it is on a good day, and then all the way down to fucking 20. So that was an additional difficulty for that fight. And Tree Sentinel is quite of a cunt. Especially in the beginning of the game. I had to come back to him. I think he's there actually to show you that you can just leave and come back later. Because it seems like most people that do that exact thing. But anyway, thank you, everybody who watched this. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.